everybody. I'm Jamie Kale Miller of Pandora Astrology, and with me is Julia.
Hey guys.
And we're going to talk to you today about the full moon in Leo happening in January of 2021. And as you can see, this moon features the moon in Leo right here at 9 degrees, with the sun opposite to it in Aquarius, 9 degrees, flanked by Jupiter and Saturn. And Jupiter's connection to this moon is stronger because it's in the same degree as the sun and moon. Saturn's also nearby. And then we have some other planets that are involved, quite a few planets actually. Mars and Uranus square this moon. Juno and Chiron trine it in a grand trine in fire. So this moon's going to be pretty complex, but it's not going to be as intense as it would be if it was an eclipse. It's not an eclipse, so that's helpful. We decided to call this moon Be Recognized for Your Generosity. And Julia, I wonder if you could tell the folks out there why we decided on that title.
Well, when I think of generosity, if I'm looking at generosity in a horoscope or in someone's natal chart, what really sticks out to me is Leo energy, because Leo is the sign of the sun. And what does the sun do but just pour its light to us every single day, giving us life on earth. So Leo is a sign that's very strongly associated with generosity. And if you happen to have a Leo in your life and you're never grateful for their generosity, you're going to run into some problems. The other planet that makes me think of generosity is Jupiter. And that's because that's the planet of luck. It's the planet of fortune. It just tends to expand and give things very easily. So having both of those come together, we got that full moon in Leo, and then we have a very tight opposition from Jupiter. And oppositions also play out in our relationships. That's where we're getting the idea that there's a sense of generosity with this full moon.
Yeah, and recognition, I think, is a great word to have here because of the Leo placement too, because Leo wants to be recognized. And you know, if generosity isn't the first word that comes to mind when you think about Leo, it would probably be because every sign has its like emphasis, right? And and that's not a singular thing, but a kind of a there's a positive take on that and a negative take on that. The positive take would be generosity. The negative take would be self-absorption, and they're both true about Leo. So if you have a Leo in your life who tends to lean more into the negative side of Leo, well, they're still being a Leo. And if they lean into the positive side, they're also still being a Leo. And I think you can help them lean into the positive side by appreciating generosity when they display it. So we do have some really strong themes of generosity. This moon also plays into this year's general theme that comes from what I like to call the wisdom hot degree, which is Jupiter and Saturn forming a conjunction, which they did in 0 degrees of Aquarius during December. And that hot degree is going to be in place all year until, I believe it's December 28th, when it expires as Jupiter leaves Aquarius and moves on into Pisces. And that hot degree is going to be teaching us lessons about wisdom, about following through on the promises that we make, because that's Saturn keeping a leash on Jupiter, right? Jupiter promises, Saturn delivers. So there's some of that quality woven into this moon as well. That quality of becoming a wise person by making promises and then hauling ass to deliver on them. So we've got some other interesting influences here, Julia. We have a square from Mars and Uranus to this moon, and it's all in fixed signs. What are your thoughts about that part of it all?
That there is this sense of, with a Uranus square to an opposition, which tends to play out on our relationships, that there has to be some readjustment or renegotiating so that both sides feel like they're sort of seen and heard and felt.
Yeah, absolutely. And there could be a note of rebellion or reactivity or pushback. And this is going to play off of this year's Saturn square to Uranus, which might even play out in a larger socio-political way as we see authority figures and rebellious figures maybe at odds with each other. And then we have Mars, you know, which can bring up assertion, but just as easily, because every astrological factor has its positives and its negatives, it can also show up in terms of anger. So this could be a pretty emotional moon in terms of the hot, fiery emotions. And I think that for two reasons. One, because here's Mars at 10 degrees of Taurus, forming a really tight square to the moon in Leo. And the other reason is that we have a fire grand trine here with Juno and Chiron and the moon all in fire signs. So this is a pretty fiery, heated moon, and the moon itself, which is the main feature of a full moon, is in a fire sign. So there could be some pretty heated emotions during this full moon. And where you want to watch out if a moon has some charge associated with it, which I think that's a pretty good word for this particular one. When a moon does have this kind of charge, it's good to consider that for about the day or two before the moon, and then the day of the moon itself, and then the day after this happens. And you can see this one happens on January 28th, which is going to be a Thursday. Those are the days that you really want to, take care of yourself in any way that might be important to do. Now, Julia, there's just one more thing here that I want to ask you your opinion on. And that is this grand trine in fire, which features Chiron forming its sextile to Saturn, and Saturn rushing into the sextile with Chiron, which will form next month in February. So that's coming up very shortly. And then we have Juno here, all in a grand trine in fire. What do you think about those Chiron-Juno themes in this moon?
Well, the Juno just emphasizes the relational aspect of this full moon, because Juno is the sign of long-term partnership. It's the marriage asteroid, or long-term relationship if you're not into marriage. And then Chiron also just kind of with a nice fiery trine from Chiron shows that there might be some past stuff, because Chiron usually relates to our older wounding. Past things may come up to the fore, but they definitely have an opportunity to be sort of addressed and sort of, worked on during this full moon.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I were to just put all of these thoughts into a single rambling sentence, it would be, this is a moon in which heated emotions and a sense of rebellion against authority must be managed in our greater world and also in our very personal relationships. And that the better we manage them, they will provide better and better opportunities for healing in those relationships. And it has a sweetness to it. So you will feel this moon, if you have anything in your chart at all, in the zone between 4 and 14 degrees of a fixed sign. And here's a little list down in the corner of what the fixed signs are. So those are our thoughts on this moon. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can find more great stuff like this on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, especially in the January 2021 news playlist. You can also find our monthly forecast on our website, pandoraastrology.com. Just add /monthly-forecast. And also on our site, you can find your horoscope for the month. And you can even book us for readings on the services page, the readings page. And there are classes that you can take as well. Until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.